I thought we'd start with a little bit of help from the CWA. It's Anzac Day and many of us have been baking in the kitchen, but what is the official CWA approach in 2023? I am joined by Jenny Coulston, the president of the CWA Milton Branch. A good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Now, look, I know that on the telly today there have been many people telling us all the right way to make the Anzac biscuits, but I wanted to get the official lowdown from one of our very own CWA branches today. Jenny, can you help me out?
Oh, I can. The recipe or just the hints?
Oh, no, I want the recipe. But if you've got hints to go with it, yeah.
Okay, well, what you do, you take a cup of oats and a cup of plain flour and about half a cup of sugar and half a cup of coconut. And you put all those in a bowl and mix them all together. And then you get a little saucepan out and you put 125 grams of butter in the saucepan on low heat with 2 tablespoons of golden syrup. Must be golden syrup, makes it really delicious. And you melt those together on low heat. And when they're melted, you turn off the heat and you put in 1 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, and it will all fizz up. And while it's fizzing, you add that to all the dry ingredients and mix it together until it's all mixed up. Once you've done that, you drop them onto a lined baking tray. You line it with baking paper and put about a teaspoon. And I usually get my hands and roll them into not a ball, but just push it all together. Got the tray all ready. You bake it at 180 degrees for about 15 minutes or until they're golden brown and they smell delicious. You cook them for about 10 minutes. You cool them on a tray for about 10 minutes, because if not, they won't stay, they'll bend. So once they're cool, you put them on a rack and eat them. And they'll store in an airtight container for about a week or so if they last that long.
And there's nothing quite like the smell of an Anzac biscuit, isn't there?
Not, and the smell goes through the house because the golden syrup goes through everything. And you'll have everyone lined up saying, when are they cool, when are they cool? So, yeah. And it's really lovely. And around Anzac time, it's just nice to think that recipe started not long after the Anzac Day, at Gallipoli Cove, and they made them. And rolled oats was a big thing then. As it is today, but they didn't have a lot of other ingredients. So that recipe has been going on for all those years.
And I guess it'd be safe to say, and you'll know a lot better than I have, but I'm guessing that the recipe really hasn't changed much in 108 years.
Not a lot at all. Not a lot at all. Yeah. There are some deviations from it, and people say, oh, I'll put choc chips in them or something. But no, the plain just Anzac biscuits on rolled oats, and the golden syrup is just the thing, and some coconut.
Now, see, to me, Jenny, I mean, if you're going to add chocolate chips to an Anzac biscuit, I mean, that doesn't make it an Anzac biscuit anymore in my mind.
No, it doesn't.
No. Now, look, the other thing...
No, it makes it something else.
Well, yes, we might have to come up with a name for that. Look, the other thing you just mentioned before was you said it has to be golden syrup. Does that suggest that sometimes people use something else instead of golden syrup?
Well, I have heard people use treacle or maple syrup.
Oh.
But good old, sometimes in the shops, especially at the moment, someone said there was no golden syrup in the shops at the moment. I guess everyone's bought it to make their Anzac biscuits. And treacle's a bit darker and it's a bit thicker. And maple syrup, that's Canadian, so it's really not an Anzac biscuit unless you use the golden syrup. So I suggest you buy your pot of golden syrup early.
And I'm guessing that maple syrup would actually make the biscuit quite sweet.
Yes.
Yes.
And golden syrup they're sweet anyway because golden syrup's is basically
Yeah.
sugar
Yeah.
as well.
You can never get enough sugar, that's for sure. Hey,
No.
Jenny, one other question I've got for you, and this has been sort of bandied around a little bit today. Some people were suggesting that you can omit coconut from an Anzac biscuit. What's the official CWA approach on that?
Well, if someone's allergic to coconut or they can't tolerate it, because some people can't tolerate it because of some tummy problems, you just leave out the coconut and add a few little more oats.
Okay.
Or you can chop some of the oats up in a blender.
Okay.
And, instead of half a cup of coconut, put in another half a cup of oats and chop them up in a blender so that they're fine. And they just soak up the butter and the golden syrup to make it, and to make them, tasty.
Right, so there won't be any wrap across the knuckles from the CWA if you do have to omit the
No, no,
This is
no,
why I love the
no.
CWA. You're so kind.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, that's what CWA people do. They're kind and they help everybody, and they make life fun.